What happens when the player meant to lead your franchise suddenly calls out her own team? That's exactly what Angel Reese did, and the fallout was immediate. In an interview with the Chicago Tribune, she didn't give the usual lines about patience or growth. Instead, she demanded the Chicago Sky front office stop settling and bring in great players. Reese wasn't asking for minor upgrades. She wanted stars, proven winners, and a roster overhaul. On the surface, those words could sound like ambition, but the delivery told a different story. By saying she refused to settle for what we had this year, she effectively labeled her teammates as not good enough to compete with her. For a young player still early in her WNBA career, that tone raised eyebrows. It didn't sound like someone willing to grow with her roster, it sounded like frustration boiling over. The problem wasn't just the demand, it was how directly it targeted those around her, setting the stage for tension that would only grow louder in the weeks to come. The reaction inside Chicago was immediate, and it wasn't pretty. Reese's comments didn't just rattle a few feathers, they reportedly infuriated her teammates. According to league insiders, a locker room meeting had to be scheduled so players could address her directly. That doesn't happen on healthy teams, that's damage control. What made it worse was the way her words landed on veterans, especially Courtney Vandersloot. Even though Vandersloot was out with an ACL injury, Reese dismissed her as someone the team couldn't rely on because of age. That stung. Vandersloot isn't just another player, she's a two-time champion, five-time All-Star, and one of the most respected point guards in league history. Tossing her aside so casually didn't just alienate one teammate, it sent a message to veterans around the WNBA that Reese wasn't interested in respecting the foundation laid before her. Suddenly, instead of uniting the roster, Reese had created a divide that forced everyone to pick sides, and many weren't picking hers. Angel Reese entered the WNBA with sky-high expectations, charisma, and the drive to win. But in just one season, her journey has become a case study in how ambition can either elevate or unravel a player's path. By calling out her teammates and pressuring the front office, she showed boldness but also risked alienating the very people she needs most. Her production on the court has been solid, yet the turnovers, fouls, and suspensions keep overshadowing her highlights. At the same time, rivals like Caitlin Clark have thrived by leading through performance and team-first energy, making the contrast even harder to ignore. The truth is, Reese stands at a crossroads. She can either grow into the leader Chicago believed she could be, learning from the turbulence of her rookie year, or she can continue down a path that divides rather than unites. The WNBA's spotlight isn't going away. The only question is whether Reese can rise with it or be consumed by it. Part of what makes this drama so explosive is timing. The WNBA is experiencing a surge in visibility like never before. Packed arenas, record-breaking TV ratings, and social media buzz have turned every headline into national news. Players like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese aren't just athletes, they're cultural figures shaping how new fans see the league. But that spotlight cuts both ways. For Clark, it's been an opportunity to showcase talent and leadership, building momentum for her team and the league as a whole. For Reese, the attention has magnified every misstep, turning locker room frustration and on-court struggles into front-page stories. In another era, these tensions might have stayed quiet, known only within the team. Now, every quote, every turnover, every feud is dissected in real time by millions. The WNBA's growth means the margin for error is shrinking, and for Reese, that spotlight feels brighter and heavier with every passing week. All of this leaves a single pressing question: what happens next for Angel Reese? The Chicago Sky drafted her to be the cornerstone, but a cornerstone is only valuable if it holds the structure together. Right now, Reese is testing whether the team can even build around her. Will the front office give in to her demands and bring in the stars she wants, or will they see her as a liability and start planning a different future? The league is watching too. Other franchises, veterans, and young players alike are asking themselves if Reese is truly a leader they could trust or if her outspoken nature would create the same fractures elsewhere. One thing is certain, her talent is undeniable, but talent alone doesn't guarantee longevity in the WNBA. Without growth and discipline, maturity, and team chemistry, Reese risks becoming a cautionary tale rather than the superstar she wants to be. The next season will determine if she can rewrite the narrative or if it's already been set. On social media, Reese often seemed untouchable. Her personality, confidence, and unapologetic style made her a fan favorite online, where highlight clips and bold quotes went viral in seconds. The narrative painted her as the next big star, the one bringing swagger and energy to the WNBA. But behind the screens, the reality was far different. Inside the league, coaches and players weren't as charmed by the show. They saw the missed assignments on defense, the careless turnovers, and the disruptive technical fouls. They heard the comments that undermined teammates rather than building them up. The media hype created a version of Reese that didn't line up with the day-to-day grind of the season. For fans scrolling TikTok, she was a force of nature. For those in the locker room, she was often a source of tension. That split between perception and reality only fueled the drama, because the louder the spotlight grew online, the more glaring her struggles looked on the court. While Reese was battling through controversy and inconsistency, her biggest rival was writing a completely different story. Caitlin Clark stepped into the WNBA with pressure unlike anything the league had seen. Yet instead of cracking, she rose to the moment. Clark didn't just talk about building winners, she showed it every night on the court. Her scoring was electric, her playmaking elevated those around her, and her leadership quickly turned the Indiana Fever into a team fans believed in. The contrast couldn't have been sharper. Where Reese's demands fractured her locker room, Clark's unselfish style brought her teammates together, and the league took notice. Clark's jersey sales skyrocketed, she packed arenas home and away, and her name dominated sports media coverage. Every highlight, every clutch three, every no-look pass only widened the gap between her and Reese. One was becoming the face of the WNBA for all the right reasons, while the other was trending for all the wrong ones. The real problem for Reese was that her words didn't match her play. On paper, her averages looked solid, around 14 to 15 points a night, with double-digit rebounds. But when you dig deeper, the flaws became impossible to ignore. Despite missing time with injuries, Reese still managed to lead the entire WNBA in turnovers, coughing up possessions at a rate that hurt her team more than it helped. Worse, her discipline slipped too. Technical fouls piled up until she hit the league's suspension threshold, sidelining her for a crucial game against the Indiana Fever, the very matchup fans had circled all season. Instead of proving she was the centerpiece Chicago needed, Reese was missing in action at the worst possible time. And when she was on the court, the sky often looked smoother without her, moving the ball more freely and defending with more urgency. For a supposed franchise player, the optics were brutal. The message was clear: if you're going to demand greatness, you have to deliver it yourself. If Reese's words bruised the veterans, the younger players didn't escape either. Subtle or not, her comments painted the picture that nearly everyone around her was either too old, too unproven, or simply not capable of winning at the level she demanded. Rising guard Hailey Van Lith was one of the names caught in that cloud, despite being a promising young piece for the Sky's future. Instead of building confidence in teammates still finding their place in the league, Reese's tone suggested they weren't part of the solution. That's where the damage deepened. A veteran can usually brush off a slight, but younger players, still shaping their identity in the league, don't easily forget when the supposed cornerstone of the team casts doubt on their ability. What was supposed to be a call for higher standards instead spread frustration on both ends of the roster. Veterans felt dismissed, younger players felt disrespected, and suddenly the one player meant to be a unifying force had become the source of division.